to Rhyme and Reason, the podcast where we dissect the dope, the deep, and the downright delicious in poetry and life. I'm your host, arielaphoenix, poet, podcaster, and professional overthinker. And if you're here for wordplay, vulnerability, and the unapologetic sass, you're in the right place. This is the show where stanzas meet stand-up and metaphors find meaning. Let's get into it. A wordsmith who can make a sonnet seduce you and a haiku hurt you. He's my longtime friend, former co-author, and the man behind the endless ink pen, literally. From New Orleans jazz to Sacramento sunshine, Devin Joseph Metz is here to spill the tea, trauma, and transcendental bars. Devin, welcome to Rhyme and Reason. You ready to get into these poems, or do you need an emotional support glass?
No, actually, no. Like I said, I needed all kinds of emotional support things earlier today.
Bro,
quite a thing.
Yes.
But I'm absolutely honored. I'm flattered. You can't see it under the Rick Ross right here.
Oh, come on, Rick. Come on, Rick. Yes.
It's really an honor anytime that I get to share something that I've had a very, very close, fervent love, story with pretty much the majority of my life.
Oh yeah.
With people that I care about, so I'm happy to be a part of this project.
Oh yeah. I think poetry, is what initially connected us. Y'all, listen to this on Twinkle. You were old if you remember Twinkle.
Yeah. Wow.
Twinkle, bro.
Yeah.
Twinkle.
See, man, they say that elephants have great memory, and then there's people who transcend those. I remember minute details. Like I remember the first message I got from you on Twinkle was, "You look just pleasantly bored in your photo."
Oh my God, that is what I said. What the fuck, Devin? How do you remember that? Wow. Wow. And I remember that profile picture. You did, you didn't. You look bored, but in a good way.
I look bored in the most fashionable way I can.
Yes, a classy man all around.
Literature has always been there. I think that's one of the more long-lasting bonds in my lifetime. Not so much with family. Mm-hmm. They're more of another story, but more so with the people I've come in contact with my life, including you, have always in some way had poetry woven into that, into that stream in one way or another. So that's actually a testament to what we love to do.
For sure. Writing is always something that we've connected on. We've co-written stories together, poems together, which I'm gonna have to surprise you, but I did put one in the new book, so you'll like it. It's my favorite. It's nasty.
Awesome.
I had to put a little razzle dazzle on them. Nothing too much though. Gotta keep the people interested. It's crazy though. Devin, I wrote 80 poems, 80 poems for In My Mind on my time. And plus I wrote 10 short stories in between. This is going to be a juggernaut of a book. I can't wait. I'm so excited. It feels like my soul in verse form. And I've knocked out a couple bangers in just the last couple of days. I've added them to the poem list. Yeah, as I'm trying to format the book right now. I just been on fire. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing it all, and everything's coming together. So I love that. So I will say, so you're,
80 pieces?
Huh?
80 pieces? Man.
Oh, shit. Yeah, it was really hard. I will say that it was really hard, but I wanted it to be a solid book. I'm not trying to give you no pamphlet. You feel me? I wanted it to be a solid book, and I wanted it to really be. It's essentially my autobiography. That's really what it is. So, yeah, I was like, I'm gonna make this just a whole thing and essentially not half-ass it. I mean, just want to be real, not half-assed, and so really get in there. But you, of course, are a huge inspiration to me. You're an incredible writer. I have learned the art and skill of double entendre and extended metaphor from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You the type to say something in like the first stanza and then like 30 stanzas later hit us with the punchline. It's like you got to be listening. You got to be listening. Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really comes from really what I consider like a natural philosophy about things. Anything that you care about in life, if you really have a passion for it, if it really means that much to you, if you really love it that much,
Yeah,
you should want to study everything there is to know about that. Poetry started off for me, honestly, and a lot of my contemporaries have had a similar path. Poetry really started off for me when I was younger. It started off with me keeping a diary or a journal or whatever.
Yeah.
I used to keep a diary, and then that turned into me writing poetry when I did like this assignment in fourth grade. Where we had to write like a little 8-line poem and read it before the class, and that was actually my first time reading something in front of a group of people.
Yeah.
And from there, teacher was like, you're really good at this. You should keep it up. And I'm glad I listened to it.
Oh yeah.
38, and my writing, style and my passion for it has really grown. I'm one of those people where everybody has a definitive way of writing, and most people that I come in contact with can explain in so many words what their writing style is.
Yeah.
I've not been able to define my writing style in 38 years. I don't know. It's word splash. It kind of just it goes where it wants to.
I like, so you, from my experience, you have like two type of poems. So you have like a serious kind of poem. It's very wordy and really great. Okay. All right. Let's get back into recording mode. Okay, boom. So yeah, we were talking about your style. You have two different styles. So yes. So your longer, kind of more serious pieces are very like, okay, you remember Janet Jackson and Busta Rhymes, the song.
Oh yeah.
The video.
Exactly
with the silver stuff.
Yeah, very interesting.
That's your poetry. I don't know what a word for that is, but that's the silver shit that he was.
Yeah, it's a very amorphous,
Yeah, whatever that was. That's your writing. Yeah. So I don't have a word for it. But then your other writing is like literary smut. Like, I don't know. I mean, I am also a poet, and I just know you. So I don't know if people read that deeply into those poems, but I'm like, if y'all know, this man's out of control, y'all. This man is out of control, y'all. That's all I'm saying.
Right. See, you gotta have fun with. That's why I don't like to really stick to just one type of literature.
Yeah.
I've written political stuff. I've written pro-black empowerment things.
Oh yeah.
Pieces about real life situations like depression and trying to deal with what's going on inside that mind. Which I believe one of the pieces that we selected is actually very much along those lines. But then every now and then, gotta get nasty.
Yeah, every now and then. No, I like the balance. I like the balance. Yeah.
and the beauty with that is that I love the fact that it kind of both adheres to what people think stereotypically about that kind of book poetry, but at the same time, it breaks a few glass ceilings. Like,
right.
And what I mean by that is when you write the more sensual, the more intimate, the more sexual stuff, or even just the outright, oh my god, that's cool.
Wow.
You write that kind of literature.
Well,
That doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice wordplay. It doesn't mean you have to sacrifice, using certain metaphors, certain ways of rhyming, or even using certain terminology. Intelligence in a lot of ways can be very sexy. If you're able to weave a little bit of that intelligence into sensuality, it creates something awesome. So I'm very proud of being able to stitch those things together.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, love an intelligent man. That had to be another podcast episode, but it's nothing like a man who really has something to say. It's like okay, you cute. So yes, but with that being said, I want to definitely get into our first piece. Of course, you already know, as one of your original fan club. I've read them. I love your work. But yeah, so give us just a little brief intro, and then go ahead and take it away.
So this first piece called Dopamine. I wrote this, I believe it was back in 2021. I generally, if I'm, like I said, I don't have a style which I write, but I do have different forms that my pieces take. So sometimes it's just sitting on the couch thinking of something. Sometimes it's something that's abstract that I can't really explain unless I write it out first. And then sometimes I'm trying to empty out what's going on in my head. So this is more of the latter. So what's going on in my mind at that time, I had been dealing with not necessarily depression, more like anxiety. Not that long after I had my car accident during that time, and my mind was telling me things that I know I was not used to dealing with. So I sat on the couch one night and I couldn't sleep. I was trying to work through my anxiety and I decided to write this. And this is a piece that I've actually referenced to myself a bunch of times when I feel myself getting back into those fits of anxiety, because life isn't something you get through. Life is something you deal with, right? So
yeah.
I love to share this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. I'm ready.
I feel like I need to cover them. The need is obscene and mine exclusively. I need to believe that it's not me when you tell me that it isn't. I want thoughts, less conditions of panic than I've allowed myself a portion of. I want to know that love isn't the only comfort that I can afford. I'd like to be bored instead of in a constant state of stress and fatigue. It would be nice to have needs that can be wants most of the time. I would love to say I'm fine and believe it to be so instead of a mantra between breaths as I try to let things go. Things I already know shouldn't be foreign. I want to give. I give what I want. I feel bad when there's nothing left for me to pour in. I kind of know what, but I never know when, except when I create it long before it becomes real. And then that real, well, let's just say that my thoughts have made me feel what my body often flinches for. Writhing on the floor, yet I'm inches from the door that I've repeatedly opened before, but somehow convinced myself I no longer have to keep it. Would it be too much to have a piece that I can touch and truly believe that will stay? Is it a mouthful to say that I cry just as much when I pray as I do when I'm afraid most of the day? Is it not meant to be easy to abstain from a bite when I'm queasy and also refute the thoughts that brought me there? Is that not fair? Do you not care to comment? Do you even wonder? I need to come clean, relieve myself, receive my wealth, believe my health is everlasting. I need to come clean across the surface with a purpose of passion that follows hours of satisfaction. I need to come clean and gain the knowledge that endures of knowing that just because it's dirty, that doesn't mean that it isn't pure. I'm assured that my feelings not always be subject to protection. But when I can't meddle with such lessons, can I please just have the injection?
Oh, see, that was another one. I forgot all about dopamine to the end.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there listening to you. You driving that, man. Man, three snaps from the society, man. Come on, man. I would say I feel very biased. I think hopefully the show. I'm hoping that the show challenges me more in the future. But as far as season 1, episode 1, I went with the favorite. This is this is like interviewing my favorite poet. So I'm glazing a little bit, but you deserve it. So
and then, not to cut you off. Another reason why I reference dopamine so much is because I have to consistently teach myself a lesson. Not when I'm writing a piece, but when I'm reading or reciting a piece. Dopamine is one of those pieces that you can't just read line for line like this and get to the next thing. No, dopamine is a conveyance piece. It forces you to actually feel what's being talked about. Feel the frustration of me saying, man, I feel real nauseous every time I try to eat. I gotta get through that. Or the anxiety mingling with the relief of, I gotta come clean. It's one of those pieces that if you try to read it robotic, it's not going to convey what you want.
It ain't going to make sense. No, absolutely. And I actually was going to bring that up as I'm listening to you. I was able to kind of tap into those elements that I described as like Busta Rhymes and Janet Jackson. Like, sometimes you rhyme in the middle of the line. Sometimes you rhyme it at the end. Sometimes it's a near rhyme. And sometimes your rhyme goes from one sound and it evolves to another by the time you get to maybe the next line. Like, I like that a lot. Your flow is like an autumn leaf floating to the ground. You don't know exactly where it's gonna go, but it's gonna follow a path,
And as funny as it may sound, I learned to kind of change the cadence and change the rhyme pattern and change where one section ends and another section begins. I learned that studying the strategic, not strategic, the base, traditional way of doing it.
Right.
And pentameter and, cutting off stanzas at a certain point. Right. 2-line pairings like sonnets and things like that. I learned to create my own structure from studying the way it's traditional. So in the way you pay homage, still your own flair.
I used to tell my children, because my students, they would be like, Miss, why Langston Hughes don't have to put a period at the end? And I said, let me tell you something. I said, Langston Hughes don't have to put a period at the end because he has mastered the basics. And in mastering the basics, just for example, using Brother Langston, there's actually a purpose for why he's not using the period right there. There's a purpose for why he went down a line and used a dash. So you have to master the basics before you can start freestyling. And that's how I try to think about it for sure. Nikki Giovanni was somebody that really challenged how I structure poems. I used to be very strict AABB rhyme scheme, 4-line stanza, and I didn't really deviate from it. And I usually did 4 of 4, so it was a 16-line poem almost every single time. Man, I started writing haikus and breaking some of them lines up and kind of. Oh yeah, I love me a haiku. It's a challenge to put it in a little instead of having all the words, right? So yeah, and I love it. I mean, of course, dopamine is incredible, and dopamine is like this. It's like a chemical, but the way you describe it is like it's really very natural. It's almost like a cup of coffee that you're yearning for.
The concept behind choosing the title for that piece, and that's another thing about me. I'm pretty sure a lot of writers, including myself, are like that. You usually know when you don't know the title for a piece until after you write. Like I used to when I first started writing literature in a serious fashion, like in high school, I would always be like, all right, I'm gonna write a poem titled this, and then I write the piece. And it has absolutely nothing to do with
it was a mess. A mess.
As I've grown through my writing and learning a lot more, I was like, you know what? It's not about what I want to do, it's about what it conveys itself. I treat literature as if it is a living being.
Right.
You know, whatever it wants to be and whenever it decides it wants to be continued or finished, I let it do its thing. I'm just there to get it out.
To channel it. Yeah.
You know, so conceptually speaking, with dopamine, the definition of it is like it's a chemical function that happens in the mind that supposed to send signals of euphoria or this or that. But conceptually, for what the piece was trying to convey, I was like, okay, the person talking in the piece is saying that I don't understand what's going on with this chemical imbalance, or I do understand it, and that's why I'm afraid of it, or it makes me feel passionate and lustful sometimes, or it really makes me feel like I'm a dangerous person sometimes. So the person is trying to explain what's going on while they're transitioning through all those things going on in their life. So I thought that was a way to go about it.
Well, and again, it's like we can wax poetic forever, but I will say I do like the jerky, kind of uneven cadence of it, because I think it characterized that feeling of being dysregulated, basically. Whether you got too much, you got not enough, you horny, you sad, you depressed, you broke, right? You just going through, your favorite team just lost the Super Bowl, whatever, you know what I'm saying? We go up and down, and it's a roller coaster of humanness that we have no choice but to ride. But I will say, one of my favorite lines, you say, I'd like to be bored instead of in a constant state of stress. And as someone who knows you, have known you for a long, long, long time, I have to ask the question. Have you ever actually been bored?
Oh man, you want to know when was the last time I was bored? Damn. This is probably going to be one of my favorite questions of the podcast.
Oh yeah.
I'm really thinking, when was the last time I was bored? Because even when I'm idle and not doing anything, my mind is all back.
I already know. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, when was the last time I was bored? It's funny. I'm a very solitary person. I like my solitude. I like to be by myself. I think the last time I was bored, I was around a bunch of people that I've come to know a bit more personally than I wanted to know them, and turns out they weren't the kind of people I wanted to associate myself with.
Yeah.
There's drinks and somebody didn't crack open a cigar. And,
gotta stay for the party.
So I'm out as well.
Yeah, I'm here now. Yeah, but never again. I will not be back.
I think and I can't remember what year, what time. I couldn't tell you, but you brought up a good point. A mind that just doesn't close tabs enough in here is rarely bored. It's been a long time since I ever felt being bored.
I mean, yeah, that's just how it goes. I mean, we big ball of shot callers. I love your work. And we have one more piece for our audience today. Actually, cut that. I'm going to cut this part out. All right, we're going to redo that. So, maybe I'll put this in the bloopers. Because, we learned in live. So I want to say how I'm going to do it. Because I'm going to cut all this out, and I'll just pick up. Okay. All right, I got it. Okay. All right. So, the next poem that you'll be presenting is called Petals. And it seems to be a metaphor for this dance that we do called life and people and things. So tell me more about it.
Petals, that one's very, very thoughtful, very, that one, it's the kind of personal where it's not personal to like me per se,
right?
But it's the kind of personal where it's really me sending out those words of encouragement, those words of care, and those words of reminding the people closest to me in my life at times about their own self-worth. So many of the people that I know in my life, my best friend is one of those people. My sister has actually come around and become a lot stronger of a person for it. And just so many people that I've come across in my life that actually mean something to me. They have things about themselves that they think are blemishes, or things about themselves that they see as impediments to getting what they deserve.
Right.
All the way to the point where they feel like they don't deserve it because it didn't come from this person or it didn't happen this way. And Petals was something that I just kind of sat here on the couch one afternoon, thinking about all of those instances and really wishing that I had more to say other than, damn, that's crazy.
Right.
Wishing I had more to say than, about that.
Right.
Because, that's nice and you mean well when you say that to people, but sometimes they really, need to see what they look like to other people, what their role is to other people. And for those people out there who feel like they're underappreciated, or they feel like the love that they wish to receive from whoever or wherever they want to get it, that doesn't mean that just because you didn't get it from that place that you aren't worth love. So that's a piece that really meant a great deal to me. I'm happy to share it.
No, I can't wait. It sounds like it's gonna be right on time. For everybody, we all have things that we try to hide. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I did not see every flower though. Especially sitting alone here in my room, yet I'm given to the belief that it suffers no grief, whether I come to notice it later soon. Later is a promise no man can keep for certain. I mean, never part these curtains and give that flower the gratification of what assumed it asked for. Passed more fields than memory serves, and never thought how many daisies might have lost their nerve over my casually walking by, not granting them each what they might beseech of. I understand that to be is not enough when life is one. I know that existing does not appear proportionate sometimes. Some lines drawn from sight take flight and pass by what was thought to be the target of one's attention. Does one's failure to mention signal intention or circumstance? If tulips dance with the wind, is it only because their favorite friend would not come by again to stop and stare? Anywhere and everywhere, or near and far, but are we scarred by the audacity of one so tacitly breezing by the same? Does each blade of grass have a name destined to drift on without acknowledgement? If I follow scent, and it takes me to the lawn, does the flower to which I am drawn mean that the others have been frowned upon? Is one too exclusive? Should it be more inclusive as to avoid other petals feeling trolled? Is admiration subject to so rigid a sense of control, or is it better in realization of self? What separates carefully cut roses resting high on the shelf from those in the row? Is the criteria its color, or whether it was meant for daughter, mother, or some other who might reward its appeal? If I were to remain here in my room, silent and sealed, instead of going for a walk, would the magnolias talk about my inconsiderate wiles? How many miles are there to travel for the sunflower a child chose to pluck from the gravel instead of the ones in her father's garden? Would their hearts harden as their stems grew weaker? Would the rain rinse away their pain? Would one be pardoned all the same if they were paid a compliment just before winter came? What frame or scrapbook would change the outlook of the prettiest by declaration? Do petunias have a reputation that hinges on how precious they appear? If the forest is a maze and the field is easily grazed, and the creatures that feed still in some sense of need because instead of out there, they choose right here. Does the flower fear having to remain far yet near what it truly wishes for and from who they hope to receive it from? Is the green thumb less important if its owner sees the vine more as a chore than what it should be waiting for? I did not see every flower bloom. I did not bring each into this room, and I promise that I will not view them all. But even if each were to call, all of it fall before they knew me. I hope they take comfort in knowing that even without perusing, they lack nothing in the kind of beauty that is ever present, no matter who it is or isn't pursuing.
Yes, yeah. I love that so much. I love that so. You know, I love flowers. That's a personal favorite. Yeah. You know, I love flowers.
Yeah. Petals. That one. That's another thing that I think a lot of writers, and you yourself, can definitely relate to it. When you find the right rhythm, find the right rhyme, find the right words, a piece that you're thinking might take 2 hours takes about 18, 19 minutes.
Bro, yeah, you just.
I wrote that piece in about the amount of time it would take to watch a sitcom without commercial.
Wow.
Like 22 minutes. And
19 minutes. Yeah.
And it's so very careful and meticulous and thoughtful that it would people would believe me if I said I took a couple hours writing it. But it
right. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. No. That one. Because you know me. I love an extended metaphor. Yeah, and sometimes it just hits you. I wrote something earlier, and you know, it's crazy. It'll be in the book, but I will say, so you remember the first two, volume 1 and 2 of our book was Roses from Troubled Soil, and I got that name. It was a little bit of a Tupac homage, a little bit, you know, the rose from the concrete, so to speak, but. It was also a reflection on myself, that how I had risen despite being planted in troubled soil. And I feel like it's a kind of an interesting parallel, because I think insecurity like that is bred into us, whether it's the soil, whether it's the people that we're seeking that attention from, whether it's what we've been told and how we're expected to act. There's a lot of things that can be in your soil. But I cranked out this poem today, and it was titled "From Trouble to Triumphant," and it was okay. But it really was. I was sitting here listening to "Family Business" by Kanye West. Old Kanye. First album, Kanye. Woo! We have fallen far from the cross. Yeah. We stopping at graduation around here, bro. Everything past that suspect. 808's Heartbreak, Late Registration, that one and the next one, and that's it. But I'm listening to Family Business. It's a great song, and this is family business every time. Yeah, and it's like, and it's just talking about the family and grandma and growing up with your cousins, and 3 by the head and 3 by the leg, and it just brought up all these memories. And I realized, I was like, though things weren't perfect, I had an incredible life. I have an incredible life. I got cousins. I got, family. We did cha-cha slide. We I have all these things, and so I decided that my soil wasn't troubled. It was just the beginning of great things. It just was hard at the beginning, and I think that perspective change, though, is very important for how we see ourselves.
One thing that was really profound about Petals was that, like I said, it's very easy for someone to kind of give a couple words of encouragement to whoever they're talking to that's going through something, but
Yeah.
it comes off sounding really stale, like, thoughts and prayers, goodness, sympathy, and all of those kind of things. Not that those things aren't, heartfelt, but it's just like, it sounds more run of the mill, it sounds more stale bread, And the thing that's beautiful about Petals is it takes a familiar message and it conveys it in a way where instead of me saying it's going to be okay, me asking all of these questions about all of these different versions of organic life.
Yeah.
It's me really saying, does it take away from how beautiful you are if this person doesn't walk past your garden? You're still the most beautiful rose in the garden, regardless of whether it's nighttime, if there's a shade over you, or it's bright and everybody stops by to smell. Nothing changes who you are. You just need to ask yourself these questions. So it actually takes a familiar message and pretty much invites rather than forces. Because we as people who think we're supportive, we do that thing where we think we're encouraging and empowering and supporting somebody, and all we're really doing is force feeding. We're force feeding them the lesson, saying, "You're good. Shut up."
Yeah, it's gonna be okay, friend. You're beautiful, and I mean, it's well intentioned though, for sure. But
well intentioned, but I think sometimes we force feed when really we should, instead of imposing that upon them, invite them to do things from a different aspect.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, and just for example, if I'm feeling, unattractive, and I've actually had this happen before. I'll tell my man, like, oh, I'm feeling ugly, or I'm feeling attractive. And he'll start listing all these reasons why I'm so beautiful and I'm so this, which is great. And I do receive. But however, I'm like, you just don't understand.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you love up top the lady lumps and you like the hair and you like thank you, baby. I love it. However, my soul feels ugly right now. Yeah, it can be easy to get triggered by that. Like, you don't understand what I'm talking about. He's like, whoa.
I mean, sometimes we try to say all of those things to kind of just toss some water on the fire so that they feel better. When really we should just say, I invite you to go look in the mirror. I invite you to go ahead and swirl in that dress. I invite you to go walk outside and check your mailbox. I invite you to do these things, and I invite you to put yourself on display.
Right.
I invite you to go ahead and stand in the middle of that garden and mingle with the dirt and the bees and everything, and see just how beautiful. So it's an invitation piece. It's not something that's forcing you into perspective.
Well, but I also think it's an incredible point, though. Just because people aren't admiring you doesn't mean that you're not beautiful or smart or powerful or talented. And I mean, honestly, I feel like that's been part of my, revolution to the people, my friends and family who are like, "Oh my God, she changed her name. Oh my God, what's this? What's that? What's that?" And it's because I finally got the courage to feel beautiful when nobody was looking. I finally got the courage to show the world that I was talented, because I was just so afraid of what they had to say. But yeah, as I just, but it took time. I had to grow into that, and I think that's something I've remembered. Yeah, people got to grow into that. Your friend that's depressed, they have many steps to go up before they get there. It's not here to here. There's many steps. So, I try to be there for people, in a general sense. Say, hey, we're gonna get through it. It's gonna suck though, but we're gonna get through it.
Actually, if I could pay you a compliment on your own show, that's actually a lesson that I've learned from you. I think maybe only one other person in my life has really reminded me of that, but that was a lesson that I learned from you. You in a number of our conversations, whether life was great or life was shit, there's a number of times where you reminded me, like, you can't just go or from awful, horrible, or like, you can't. It doesn't. It's not a light switch. It's not a light switch. It's something you gradually have to take down in life. And it's So the one thing that I remember you actually getting on my case about was you telling me that you have to allow yourself to feel your feelings.
Ooh, I remember that conversation. Yeah.
You have to allow yourself to feel your feelings because you can, and it's not even from a place of like masculinity. For me, I was afraid to feel my feelings because I didn't like the process. I didn't like how awkward and uncomfortable it felt to drag through that.
Yeah.
But you have to get out of that bubble. Duran Bernard, amazing artist.
Yeah, underage.
He, on the set of one of his music videos, this was like a couple years ago, he said something that really stood out to me. He said that your bubble is a beautiful place. It's comfortable. It's safe. It's relaxing. You feel like you're okay in your bubble, but nothing grows inside of your bubble. Nothing grows inside. You have to get out of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. I will say, I think I won't say one last point, but as I was listening to Petals, and of course I understand like the personal interpretation of it, but a line that really stuck out to me when you said that do tulips dance with the wind because their favorite friend didn't stop and stare? And I think about that in terms of like dating. You know what I'm saying? Like how much petal popping is happening on the timeline. Petal popping. Yeah, petal popping. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It's very subtle.
How much is happening?
Because the favorite friend doesn't stop and say, are you going to go ahead and put yourself out there on display in a way that you probably weren't comfortable with or really wasn't rocking with doing it?
Yeah.
Just because the person you wanted to give that attention to just didn't happen to walk by it.
Yeah, but also, and I'm just gonna be honest, and we're not gonna get too deep in the weeds on this one. But as a woman who don't be giving a damn, okay, I'm gonna do what I want to do. All right, amen. As that type of woman, I'm always flabbergasted by the chicks who are like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to wear this," or "He only likes when my hair is red," or that. I get it. I do. If your man like red hair and you don't mind wearing red hair, then y'all do that. But if it is compromising to you to please this man or this woman, whoever, where's the line? A lot of people twist themselves into pretzels to be in relationships. Oh, you want me to change my hair? Okay, I'll cut it off. It's like, okay, everybody. You got to have a stronger sense of self, and like you said, that self-worth. Your hair, your nose, your lips, your education, your butt, your little stomach, your fupa, all of it, is valuable and beautiful. And
we put so much stock, we put so much of our own value in whether someone else notices or someone else likes it. And I just feel, and what really just kind of broke my heart while I was writing that poem was I was thinking about so many people that refuse to, for whatever reason, look past thinking that if they aren't noticed, then they are ugly, or if they aren't noticed, that they're not worthy, or if they're not noticed, and not even necessarily noticed by a certain person, just noticed.
Period.
Yeah. That they don't matter. You matter regardless of whether someone thinks you do or not. You have to think you do.
Yeah. You know what? Sometimes I feel like such a little spoiled brat because you know me. You know how when I get down, right? But my irrational mind takes over, and I'm like, Melanie, you have a mother that fawns over you. You have, a dad. I got grandparents. I got cut. Like I have all this. I have great friends. My students always loving on me and stuff like that. Like it, I'm like, okay, you gotta stop tripping. But then on the adverse, I'm like, there's so many people that don't have those connections. I was just watching a video before this conversation about the male loneliness epidemic. We're gonna dive into this in another podcast, but it is real. I think male and female, I think looks a little different, but the bottom line is that way too many people have 0 to 2 people in their life that they're close to. And yeah, I think it makes a huge difference in sense of isolation. You need validation somewhere. You shouldn't live off validation, but it feels good when your homeboy is like, "Hey man, it's good to see you." We need those little interactions.
The video that's online. I forget the name of the film, but Keith Stanfield stars in it, and he's in this really playful argument between going back and forth. Like, I'm trying to be like you, bro.
Yeah, I'm trying to get like you. I'm trying to get like you, baby. Yeah, you know.
And it's funny, but at the same time, it's very encouraging because, man, our brothers, and I'm gonna be like ultra black when I say this. Our brothers really have to like get out of their own way when it comes to encouraging each other and complimenting each other. We do not encourage each other enough. We don't hold each other accountable enough, and we don't encourage each other enough. And that's why when it really comes down to us, getting that sense of community or getting that sense of self-worth as a man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, being a man in America, contingent upon what shade of skin you have, it's an uphill battle every day. Even at my current distinction in the business world.
Right.
This was something where I definitely had to subscribe to the tenet of work twice as hard as you can. I definitely have to subscribe to that. So I think that some of my brothers out there really have to recognize the exact same lesson that this piece conveys. It's all right to encourage each other. It doesn't make you any less of a man. It doesn't diminish your self-worth to tell another brother, hey man, look, I see what you're doing. I love you. I'm proud of you. We got to do more of that.
Yeah, no, it looks exactly like I said. Next season on Rhyme and Reason, we're gonna dig into black male social demographics. I mean, yeah, because that could be a podcast all in itself.